Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast. It's me, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, and I have a guest here today, Candace Kluba, who is with Pure Romance. And she was introduced to me through a mutual friend of ours, and we had a conversation beforehand, and we just absolutely clicked. And I knew I had to have her on the show because she had so much great information to share with you guys. So Candace has had 15 years of experience in education with the public school system and more than 5 years as a women's sexual health and wellness educator with Pure Romance, and over a year of experience leading intenSati and coaching women to live a life they love in a body they love no matter what. In all positions, Candace leverages her ability to help people find their inner strength and power to learn new things and create positive change in their life. Candace lives in a small rural community outside of St. Louis, Missouri, with her husband of 16 years and their 8-year-old son. So welcome to the show, Candace.
Hello. Thank you, Jennie.
So happy to have you here because, really after our first conversation, I knew we had to get you on the show because we had such a great conversation around the Pure Romance and the intenSati and how they really play into each other. So let's delve into that. So let's start with, what's your Pure Romance journey?
So my Pure Romance journey started over 5 years ago. Probably closer to 6.5 years ago when I first started looking into Pure Romance and trying some products. I had a friend who was a consultant at the time, and she was a friend from a support group, the support group for pregnancy and infant loss. And she was a consultant, and my husband this was probably 2 years into my son's life. He was close to 2 years old. And prior to having our son, we had quite a tumultuous journey to grow our family. And we had experienced some pregnancy loss. We had experienced the stillbirth of our little girl who would have turned 10 this year. And then we had some infertility, and it really had taken a toll on our marriage. And when our son was about 2 years old, he kind of brought it to my attention that it had taken such a toll on our marriage. I hadn't really stopped or thought about it to notice it. And so I had started to talk with my friend who was a consultant and, tried to communicate with my husband and learn new things. And there was a lot of work involved, but I eventually had a party with my friend, and I sat there. I just remember thinking, this is normal. People talk about this. People talk about intimacy. There are, new things to try. She told me all these things I didn't know about my body. And I was just kind of in awe. And when she asked me, at the end of the night, if I'd ever thought about doing what she does, I looked at her like she had 3 heads, because I said, I'm an elementary school teacher. And she said, it's about how you present yourself and your business. And I started thinking about it. And the next day, of course, my husband's response was, duh, discounts. But which we always laugh about. But I decided within 2 weeks I was signed up. And in our first year of my business, I learned so much about my body and about intimacy and the sexual response cycle. And I became so empowered by having all of that knowledge that I wish someone had shared with me prior to even having, an intimate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That I couldn't believe it. And our marriage is so much better. I mean, I wouldn't say that the business itself saved our marriage because we both had to do a lot of work,
Right.
but we used a lot of what came with the business to do so. And we saved our marriage. And so this pure romance for me is it's really just about making sure women have the information they need to be better people, to have better relationships and better intimacy.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't shock me because just the sheer number of people who giggle or are like honestly shocked when I tell them the name of my podcast and then point out the acronym is BDSM. And, they're like, oh my gosh, how can you be a coach and be doing that? I'm like, because none of this is shameful, right? And sex sells, right?
True.
But
very true.
So many people just are not comfortable in that space because it was always, even for me growing up, sex and the body was not shameful, but it just wasn't talked about.
Right. Because it's private.
Yeah. And I realize there are people who, are growing up and going through life literally being taught that those things are shameful, and other people just aren't talking about it. And I would say that's probably a majority of the cases, very few cases where the body is brought up as this beautiful, wonderful thing that serves us, and we've got to take care of it. And how can we take care of it? We don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the role that plays in relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's with a spouse or a significant other or life partner, right? It doesn't really matter. But that intimacy comes from a level of comfort with their body. So with your first year of business, you really incorporated a lot of this into your own relationship. And so that I'm sure that really helps with your business being able to say, look, I'm not just selling this stuff. I'm a product of the product.
Sure. Yeah. When I have parties or when I meet people in the business capacity with my pure romance business, it's really the first thing that comes from me, honestly. It's just my heart with the idea that the education and the empowerment that comes from pure romance is really, really amazing and can save marriages and honestly can really help women, whether they're in a relationship with themselves or somebody else. It doesn't matter. It can really do wonders for just their own personal intimacy.
Wow, you bring up a really good point there. So I want to go into that just a little bit deeper. If she's in relationship with herself,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, for me, okay, right now goosebumps because here's the thing: don't you think that she should be in relationship with herself, whether she's with someone else or not?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How is somebody else going to feel like, how are you going to truly be able to receive someone else believing and feeling that you're sexy if you don't even believe and feel that way? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I think it's, I'm not going to remember the name of this quote, but it's, you're stuck with yourself for life, forever.
Yeah.
So why not improve the relationship you have with yourself first?
Yes.
I want to say it's Victoria Tugaliva, something of that sort. It's written somewhere, but
we'll find it.
Yeah. It really struck a chord with me. I found that quote recently, and it's so true. If you aren't caring for yourself and loving for yourself in a way that you would others or want others to care for and love you, they won't know how to do it. You're the best model. The best demonstration of how you want others to love you is by loving yourself that way.
Oh, God. Yes. Okay. Title of the episode right there. Right? Because I definitely agree with that. And this branches out into so many other places and spaces in life, because it's not just about your relationship with yourself and not just about your relationship with your significant other or spouse or life partner. It's about how you feel about yourself changes how you do business.
Yes.
Because if you don't feel worthy, guess how you're going to treat your business? You're not going to go in whole hog because, why?
Yep. Because you're not worthy of it, because you don't deserve it, because most importantly, because you don't think you can.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Our words, we create our reality with our words and our thoughts and our actions. And our actions come from our words and our thoughts. So if our words and thoughts are constantly negative, or we can't, or we don't deserve it, or we're not worthy, then your actions are going to reflect that.
Absolutely.
And that's across, whether it's relationship, business, work, it doesn't matter. That will follow through everything in life.
Yeah. And I think it's true vice versa, right? How we act around ourselves shows us how we feel about ourselves, right? So if you're not sure whether or not you have a worthiness issue, which I think most people have some level of a worthiness issue, right? I would say I'm someone who's got pretty damn good self-esteem, and yet there are still some little things here and there where I occasionally run into a worthiness thing, right? And they come up in different and weird places in my life sometimes, right? But how we treat ourselves, how we take care of ourselves, the actions that we do show us how we feel about ourselves and our business.
Yes.
So,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I don't even know.
Okay. Right. So you don't have to be perfect to be a podcaster, people.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, this whole thing. And so this leads based on the conversation we had a couple weeks ago about the intenSati. So tell us about that, because I know it's something I had never heard of before you, which means there's probably a pretty good chance that most other people who are listening to the podcast are not familiar with intenSati either. So tell us, how'd you find it? How'd you get into it? And how does it play into your business?
Sure. So I actually met the developer of the program, Patricia Moreno. I met her, I guess it was 2017 at Pure Romance National Training in August. And she came and they had her scheduled that week for several things. She was a speaker. She was doing workouts in the mornings with us if we wanted, super early, which is totally my thing. Not many others, but yeah. I remember reading about what she was going to be doing. And I thought, well, that sounds really interesting. And because I like to get up and work out, I woke up early, the first opportunity I had, to go to one of her classes, and I fell in love with it immediately. It was an intenSati class. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I kind of loved that. But even more so, I loved that that what she was doing really put into play something that I was already kind of doing, but kind of disconnectedly, with some affirmations and movements. And I've always kind of loved affirmations and used them for a while. And intenSati is a pairing of affirmations with movement. And what it does is it really helps you to embody the emotions that you want to come from using the affirmations. And when we embody it, we really activate it. And it's kind of like practicing, the whole phrase of practice makes perfect, or fake it till you make it. I don't really believe in those, but what I do believe in is that if you practice it long enough, you will activate it in reality, because it is our thoughts, our words, and our actions that create our reality. It's very neuroscientific.
Yes.
There's actually a neuroscientist that studied intenSati, and there's a book that really incorporates a lot of the history of that research. Super interesting, very, very sciencey, but relatable and understandable as well. And anyway, so I left the first class just feeling incredible. And I went to her talk later, and I continued to do her classes. I think she did 2 morning workouts that week. And she gave everybody that was there, all the consultants got a freebie track of an audio workout. And I did that like every day for the next month. And I remember just thinking, I need more. This is not enough for me. I need more. And I had been following her on social media, And she was running a program. At the time, it was called Sati 365, I think. And it's kind of an online mesh of like support group coaching type thing. She offered workouts, and I signed up for that. And at the very same time, I also signed up to do the leader training, because I just knew that this practice was amazing, and I knew what it could do. And when I looked up, and I was so disheartened that nobody around here did it.
Oh.
And that there, I looked up, she's on the website, she had, find it near you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nowhere. It was nowhere near me. At the time she lived in New York, and it's pretty prevalent over there in Brooklyn and in a couple of other states, along the East Coast. And there's a little bit of it up in Michigan and down in Florida and maybe a little over in California, but that was really about it. And there was nowhere near me.
No, nowhere in the Bible Belt.
I was so, no, of course not. I was so sad. And I said, well, then it's my job. I've got to do it because people need it. I knew personally at least a dozen people that I felt like this practice could really transform their lives if they let it. And, so I signed up to be a leader, and I'm so thankful. It really takes the empowerment piece that comes with pure romance, and it brings it up to the next level. It takes it out of just the intimacy realm and brings it into your whole life.
Nice.
And so now I've got these tools that are amazing for really transforming your whole life, not just intimacy, not just your personal, but, all together. It's just a more well-rounded approach to seeing things and to improving the life that you have.
And to me, I would think that with having that style of, number one, workout and movement, right? That it's not just the workout and the movement, but it's the affirmations paired with it that really adds to the overall feeling at the end, and how that plays into business. Do you find that those people who work out with you end up becoming really great, amazing customers for Pure Romance, or vice versa? Or do you mix your pleasure with your pleasure?
Right. Well, that's a great question. We'll have to address that, like maybe in another year.
Okay.
I'm still really growing the intenSati part of it.
Okay.
As far as teaching in person, I just was able to really get started with that last fall. So about a year ago.
Okay.
And getting myself out there into studios or gyms or whatever has really been a challenge. So I don't quite have my following for intenSati where I want it yet. It's taking a lot of build up and a lot of outreach to get people to understand what it is and what it can do for them.
Right.
Because it is so different from what the other things that are out there.
Well, I have a feeling that after today, or after people listen to this podcast, they're going to be going and looking at your website to find out if you're doing it online, because literally I've got listeners who are from all over the country, all over the world, who after hearing this going, oh, I want to feel empowered after a workout. Because a lot of people hear about feeling good after a workout, but evidently that's not enough of a driver to get people to actually do it, right? Because there's not enough of us who are working out, right?
Right.
But to actually walk out of a workout, right? Or to, complete an online workout with you, or a virtual workout, because I'm assuming this could be done over like Zoom or
it can be,
or purchasing videos from your website or something. I mean, we've got to find a way, because I'm telling you, after this, there are going to be people who are going to be asking you, how do I get access to this from you? Right. So, do you have a plan to put this out online to help empower women through this very specific process?
I do. I'm working on it. It's not all together just yet, but I am working on it. And, I've just been teaching in person, and I have a Facebook group that I teach through little kind of mini short versions. And I started doing that just because the people that I had in person, once the COVID hit, we went online if we could. And when I was able to go back in person, I still had a couple people that were like, "Oh, I'm not ready for that yet."
Yeah.
But they're loyal to this practice and to me. And so I felt like I couldn't just quit doing the online because I was ready to go back. And because I had other people that were ready to go back, I wanted to really be able to offer something for everybody who wanted it, because it's just that important of a practice. So I do have a little bit going online right now, but I really need to focus in on it and narrow it down. And I would like to make it accessible to more and make it a little more worth my time, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in touch. I mean, that's probably going to happen anyway, because we don't live that far from each other. But we're going to stay in touch. And as soon as you've got this up and running online, we're bringing you back on to share this with everybody and let everybody know that, hey, remember when we interviewed Candace a few weeks ago, a few months ago, whatever that time frame may be? Well, guess what? She's online now. It's live. Let's do this, right? Because I think that would be a really great way, because I think after this, because almost all my listeners are women. So this whole idea of, I think the empowerment thing has really been coming to fruition. I'm just seeing it, and I don't know if it's just because I'm going through it myself the last few years and the changes that I'm personally going through, but I really feel like this is another way to do this, because I hear a lot about, well, I want to empower women and they're doing it through coaching and they're doing whatever, but I'm not hearing about it in a way that has a very specific body movement like this, that is very so intense on the affirmations, because so many people just don't even think to include that in that. And so I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I want to be able to share this with my listeners, share this with my clients, because this is an area in which I believe we all could use a boost. Is this way of moving, this way of, being empowered through affirmations and having this, way of being able to then incorporate it in our personal and business lives to be able to move forward. So have you noticed, since you've been doing this, has this improved your business and personal life being part of the intenSati?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I really focus in, and if I could just the affirmations are great, but it's really the way we utilize the affirmations. I think affirmations kind of have started to get a little bit of the word's not going to come to me, like a downfall, because people think, oh, you're just saying things. And yes, people can just take affirmations and say them. But with intenSati, we're not just saying them. We're not just shouting affirmations. We're using them with movement to really embody and activate the emotions. And that's what makes the biggest difference. That's what helps you transform that mindset that you have. And when you leave there, you didn't just say some affirmations, you found the feeling of those affirmations and envisioned that affirmation, becoming reality. And that's what makes the difference. It's kind of like recently I read a book. I can't, can I curse on here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the book Unfuck Yourself.
Oh,
is it Gary John Bishop? I don't know if you've read that,
I haven't, but I need to now.
You do need to. And if you do Audible at all, I would get the Audible, because he narrates it himself, and I think it's Scottish. So he's got a great accent, and his kind of attitude about, he calls them personal assertions. Uh-huh. It's super entertaining and really great literature.
Oh my gosh. I need that. Yes, absolutely. Cursing, grown-up words are allowed here. Yeah, because one of my own favorite books, and I don't know if you've had the chance to read it, is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Oh, it's on my list. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list.
Move it up to the next one. Because if you like to unfuck yourself, which I haven't read it yet, but based on what you're saying, you're really going to enjoy what Mark Manson has to say. And
right.
He is super entertaining. I haven't listened to it because when I read for learning, I have to read, right? I do so much better, highlighting and taking notes. Like I literally write in my books, people. Yes, I'm one of those people. So if you don't
me too.
Okay, good.
Me too,
I'm like, dude,
sure.
I paid for it. This is mine. I can do whatever I want to. I don't write in library books, but then again, I only borrow library books for fun.
Right.
Because I don't want to write in them.
Yeah.
So having those affirmations and I definitely agree because there was somebody who I just interviewed whose podcast went live with me, a couple weeks ago, Michelle Nadalek. You're probably going to want to go listen to that one. I would say, because she says something similar in there. She's like, oftentimes we don't have confidence in our competence in certain things. But here's the thing, you don't have to be like perfectly competent to become confident in an area. You need to remember how it feels to be confident in something and just bring that feeling over. And again, she basically says it's not the fake it so you make it. It's you're just borrowing the confidence from another area of life. So the example she gave was, well, how confident are you in tying your shoe? Well, as long as we all know how to tie your shoe, we feel pretty confident in it, right? Because we do it probably on a daily basis, right? And so being able to take that confidence from that, because you're like, oh yeah, I can totally do it. I don't even have to look at the shoelaces. I can tie my shoes while looking at something else, right? That's a level of confidence in your competence that is really high. So if you can just take that feeling and imagine, where does that feeling come from? And it sounds like you're doing the same thing in intenSati, that as you're doing the movements and motions and the affirmations, are you pointing out like that whole, where are you feeling that? Or
yes. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we do. And one of my favorite sayings from Patricia that I use in classes is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
So when we're in class and we're at a tough spot or we're getting tired and we start to think, oh, I just want to quit. I want to stop moving. I need a break, blah, blah, blah. I point out that this is a challenge. And if you can get yourself through this challenge, then you will have the confidence to attack the challenges that affect you out there.
Mm. Oh.
And so
powerful.
Yeah, we absolutely activate all of those good, positive, high energy, confidence and power and happiness, and we activate all of that so that you can take that outside of the class too.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like people absolutely are going to want to be doing this. I have a feeling they're going to be rushing to your website to find out.
Okay, well, bring them on, Jenny. Yeah. Bring them on.
Yeah. So your website is one way for people to get a hold of you, right? It's
yes, absolutely.
CandaceKluba.com. So why don't you go ahead and spell that for everybody?
Yes, Candace Kluba, CandaceKluba, Candace Kluba.
Awesome. And of course, as the listener knows, you've been listening long enough to know that the link to her website is directly in the show notes. So just grab your phone, scroll through the episode, you'll see the show notes, and you'll see CandaceKluba.com. Click on that because she has not one, not two, but 3 freebies that she is offering, and you can pick 1 or 2 or all 3 if you want, right, Candace?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay. So the first one is the self-love quiz, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I think a lot of people don't quite understand what self-love is, or they have kind of a viewpoint of maybe society's idea of what self-love is. And so the quiz is kind of maybe like a little bit of a wake-up call, like, oh, I wouldn't have thought that was important or part of self-love. And so it kind of brings just a level of awareness to what I kind of view self-love as.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. And then the second thing is a free 45-minute one-on-one consultation to discover their limiting beliefs and the obstacles in their path.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. That
Yeah.
is amazing. Okay, guys, so those two things right there. Imagine if you figured out your self-love score, where you could make improvements, and then you also get to talk to Candace about your limiting beliefs and attitudes and obstacles that are in your way, which is, let's face it, your biggest obstacle is almost always you, right?
Yep. You got
But
it.
what part of you is holding you back? That's what's different for everybody. And that's what I've learned as a coach in 3 years, right? Actually more than 3 years, but 3 years in my own business. And then of course, your third giveaway is a free sample of one of the most popular Pure Romance products. And all they have to do, this one, guys, you can do right now. So get ready. So what you're going to do is you're going to text BDSM, which y'all know that one, right? That's a given, right? Text BDSM 2, and the number is 636-337-3097. So again, go check the show notes. That phone number is going to be in the show notes, so you can text BDSM to that number, and she's going to send you a sample of one of their most popular products, which I don't know which one they're going to get, but I know the 2 or 3 that I have completely fallen in love with from Pure Romance. Oh, lucky ducks. They're going to be so excited. So, Candace, I want to thank you for being here. And let me tell you, we're going to set this up so that we have you back on, because we need to know when you've got your intenSati online, because, I want to do this now.
Yay. That would be amazing, Jenny.
I want to do this. Imagine if we could do like the get together all the BDSM community together to go do intenSati together.
Oh, yes.
Online, because we are literally spread all over the world. I've got people in our community who are in Canada and Australia and, all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And so if we could do a class all together, oh, how much fun would that be? We would be such badasses by the end of it. Oh,
absolutely.
Okay, I want to do it. We got to figure this out. Okay.
We'll collaborate.
Yes. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And you're still a school teacher too, right?
I am.
So, and you're doing this right at the beginning of the school year. So I have got to completely round of applause to you for jumping on and recording this at the beginning of the school year. So appreciate your time and sharing this amazing, first of all, your journey through how Pure Romance helped save and as you mentioned, helped save your marriage. It wasn't the only key, but
right.
Going through that journey of learning about you and your body and communication and intimacy and how you do all those things together in your partnership really helped save your marriage, which is amazing. And that's got to be the most amazing story to share at each and every one of your gatherings that you have.
Yeah, it's pretty touching. And then the intenSati piece, really helped me with my personal intimacy, my own relationship with myself, and really just brought it to a whole nother level.
Oh, that sounds absolutely amazing. So we need to all make this part of our lives, people. So, well, thanks again, Candace, for being here. I so appreciate you sharing this and sharing your stories. And I'm telling you, we're going to have you come back.
All right. It's a date.
Awesome. All righty, everybody. Well, you know what's about to happen. You've got another badass episode coming your way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.